Reb Moshe Feinstein, he lived on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, and he was in his yeshiva in MTJ where he was learning. And all of a sudden, a man came running into the yeshiva, and a man said, "Rabbi, we have to say Tehillim really quick. A Jewish kid outside just got hit by a car." And Reb Moshe said, "How do you know he's Jewish?" He said, "Because I saw a kippah right next to him." Reb Moshe said, "Look, that's terrible, and we should say Tehillim either way. But I just want you to know it's not a Jewish kid." The guy's like, "What?" So the guy went running back outside, and sure enough, he saw that it actually wasn't a Jewish kid, and that there was the kippah on the floor. A kid happened to, like a wind blew off the kippah of another kid, fell on the floor right next to that kid, and that kid went to pick it up. He came back into Reb Moshe Feinstein. He said to him, "How do you know? Are you a Navi?" He said, No. He said, "But if I was sitting right here and learning Torah right here, then a kid from my community," because that's his community, "they're under my watch. A kid from my community, nothing bad could happen to him. Impossible." The protection. I remember Reb Nosson Tzvi Finkel. Not too many people remember this story, and they'll ask me but I remember being there, and I remember hearing it. I didn't see it, but I remember hearing it happen by the year 2000. Was it 2000, 2001? By the Intifada. So the Mir Yeshiva is a very, very large yeshiva. It's many buildings, thousands of people learn there. So you can imagine that, for the thousands of people that are learning, you're always going to have people inside and always have people outside. It's just the way it is. People go outside for phone calls, for a coffee, for something. When you have so many people, that's just the way that it's always a hubbub. It's always busy. So there was talk of attacks that were happening, and there were many terror attacks that were happening all around. And a lot of kids were starting to get phone calls from their parents. You got to come home to America. You have to come home. You can't be there. It's a war zone. So somebody told me that he was standing outside when this happened. Reb Nosson Tzvi Finkel. Reb Nosson Tzvi Finkel was the Rosh Yeshiva of the Mir Yeshiva. He had Parkinson's, and he was riddled in pain. It was something terrible. But that's how he lived. And he came walking out of his house. Now he generally comes out walking with people to help him walk. Over here, he just came out on his own. And when people started to see the Rosh Yeshiva, nobody wanted to be seen by the Rosh Yeshiva outside not learning Torah. It's embarrassing. So people just started running away. They run away. Everybody just by the time he got to the front of the yeshiva, everybody was gone, and he was just practically exhausted but he grabbed onto the gate in the front. And people standing around said that they saw his mouth whispering something. That Friday, he would always give a Friday shiur. That Friday, he said in his shiur that, "I want to let you all know that I was saying to Hashem, the yeshiva is under my watch. And as long as they're learning Torah, this is my neighborhood, nothing bad can happen." Rabotai, a few weeks later, I was sitting in the building, second Seder, it's the afternoon, Thursday. The building all of a sudden shook because we all heard a boom, just this loud, this unnatural thing. The building shook. I remember I said to my chavruta, if this is the end, we're going down with the ship. I mean, how cool would it be if you go to Shamayim? I was just in the Mir Yeshiva learning second Seder. They can't get upset at you for anything. So I'm we're going down with the ship if this happens. Baruch Hashem, we didn't go down with the ship. And it was about a half hour left. We finished off learning, and I went outside. So I don't know if you know the Mir Yeshiva, the breakdown, but there's that small street that leads down to it over there. We start to walk up, because we see there's a whole crowd of people going that way. We start to walk up the street. As we're walking up, this is what I see. I see this ridiculous scene, I'll never forget, of about 100 people dancing in a circle around a burnt-up car, on fire still, with the embers of the car still floating down from Shemayim, because it blew up that incredibly. And they're all dancing. And they're all singing something else, they can't get their act together. Just everybody's... She started to ask around what happened, and the story came out. Somebody had rigged a bomb right there, right next to the Mir Yeshiva, about a block away. But the Arab who did it knew that Thursday, this block is the busiest day. So maximum carnage was to go and to rig it for Thursday, because it was right by a storefront that everybody goes there to shop on Thursdays for Shabbat. And so therefore, and he packed the car filled with shrapnel, with nails, with all these, so that it'll blow out and anybody will just get torn apart. And then the stories began. The owner of that store missed Mincha early that day, and it was getting close to Shekiah, so he had to go pray Mincha by the Shtiblach, that's just a block away. So he closed up his store, he threw everybody out, and they were like, we're in the middle of shopping. He's like, Mincha, tzaddik. He threw everybody out, locked up the store, left off to Mincha. There was a guy whose car, the bomb car was here, another car was parked just right across the street. There was a guy who always goes with his wife to go and deliver a package to a certain lady for Shabbat, to give her food for Shabbat. And every week the husband waits downstairs in the car, every single week. This week his wife said, the lady's been asking, she wants to meet you, she wants to know who you are, could you come up this week? He's like, I don't know. She's like, come up this week. Fine. And it went up to... Everybody had their story why they weren't, and the block right then was a ghost town. And it exploded. And in Shemayim they knew that this is the neighborhood of Reb Natan Tzvi Finkel. Nobody can get hurt. The Tzaddikim provide a certain protection.